My name is Schizofenik, and in this video I'll be looking at the most violent Batman moments within a comic or graphic novel. But before we begin, it is essential that we understand what is meant by violent. According to the Oxford Dictionary, it is behaviour involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something. Now, I should explain that I'm not interested in the outcome of the violence, for example, whether Batman's victim survived or died, but I am more interested in the violent act itself. I want to measure the extremity of the physical force used, how graphically it was depicted, and whether it was quick or prolonged. Before I begin my countdown to number 1, I would like to give one honourable mention, which goes to Batman Volume 1, Number 1, 1940. We have all come to know Batman as a character who will use extreme force, but never kill his enemies. It is this trait that distinguishes him from his criminal antagonists. However, in the 1940 Batman Volume 1, the Caped Crusader seems to break his oath as he kills one of Dr. Strange's genetically enhanced monster men. In a highly uncharacteristic moment, the Dark Knight shoots a truck of Dr. Strange's henchmen off the road, lowers a steel cable noose, and hangs one of the monster men. Finally, Batman utters a very cold-hearted statement towards his deceased antagonist, as he says he's probably better off this way. Despite Batman's act of murder, this moment does not make it on my list for a number of reasons. Firstly, there does not seem to be a great deal of graphic violence here, and secondly, it could be argued that this was a mercy killing. Dr. Strange had transformed his mental patients into hideous monster men, so perhaps Batman's statement, "he is probably better off this way," suggests that he euthanized him since he has become an incurable monster. No man would want to live this way, so perhaps in this instance, death is better than life.
Number 5.
Our number 5 entry goes to 1982's Batman Volume 1, Annual Number 8, in another incident where Batman kills. In this comic, Batman clashes with a new villain named the Messiah of the Crimson Sun. This nefarious character plans to unleash a doomsday weapon that could harness the sun's rays and turn them into dehydrating death lasers. It is not until later on that Batman discovers the true identity of the self-proclaimed Messiah to be Ra's al Ghul. As a result, Al Ghul pays the maximum price, as we can witness here.
Your Messiah commands you. Commands, detective. I salute you. You would have made a fine husband for mine.
Batman, did you know what that sunlight would do to him?
I knew, Robin, but I had to do it.
But Batman, you've killed him.
Have I, Robin?
This moment makes it on my list due to the stoic manner in which Batman kills the demon. Robin is shocked at how nonchalantly Batman vaporizes Ra's al Ghul as it goes against everything he believes in. However, what makes the violent act worse is the fact that his daughter Talia is present when he kills him. In addition, Batman terminates his life whilst the man is paying him the ultimate compliment as he sees the Dark Knight as a possible suitor for his daughter. So why does this heartless moment not make it higher up on my list? Remember, I'm not interested in the outcome of the violence, but the violence itself. Despite vaporizing his victim, the act of pressing a button is not directly violent, and we actually witness very little violence in this scene, unlike our next entry.
Number 4.
At number 4, we have the aptly named Cycle of Violence, which depicts some very graphic scenes of violence indeed. Firstly, we begin with Batman pursuing a car he believes to be driven by a child-abducting criminal. In an act of sheer brutality, Batman kicks his victim straight out of the moving car window, then proceeds with the interrogation, as the victim lay injured on the road. When the man accuses Batman of brutality, the Dark Knight shows very little sympathy indeed. Somewhat surprisingly, this is not the most violent moment in this comic, as that title is reserved for a battle between Batman and the Scarecrow. In this scene, Batman has been held hostage by Scarecrow until he manages to get free and face his assailant. This for me is our first real moment of grotesque violence, as we can see here.
Thank you. You've been a perfect guinea pig. I'll be right back. It's time to get my scythe.
Activate wrist armor laser. Didn't think so.
Take what you're given.
Take it and swallow it whole.
Make it yours.
Please, Mr. Scarecrow. It's too dark down here.
Make it your own.
Run to what you fear.
And stare it in the eye until
It
whimpers,
and
backs.
down.
Big mistake. Leaving me in the same room as this suit.
Inconvenient, this. You're weakened, Batman. The super toxin still dribbling through your veins.
Funny. I don't feel weak.
You're all mad. Such a delicate little bat. Did our fear games upset you?
You want something to fear, Scarecrow. Fear me!
In a moment that would seem more at home in a torture porn movie, Batman fires his tensile grappling line through the soft tissue under the Scarecrow's jaw and into the ceiling. After being stabbed by Scarecrow's scythe, Batman pulls himself along the floor and out of the house, whilst the Scarecrow dangles helplessly by his chin from his basement ceiling. This moment has the graphic depiction of violence and extreme force. However, what is lacking is the duration. It really is over before we know it, and that is why it does not place any higher on my list.
Number 3.
In third place, we have Frank Miller's classic The Dark Knight Returns, which inspired the more violent and dark Batman that has become so popular today. The Dark Knight Returns depicts an aging Bruce Wayne who is forced to don the old costume again to face some very new and frightening antagonists. In an attempt to save Gotham from the grasp of the mutant gang, Batman takes on the hulking leader in a fight that he initially loses in devastating fashion. After being physically dominated, Batman's ego is dented further as he is rescued by the young Carrie Kelly, who stops the Dark Knight from fighting to the bitter end. In an attempt to restore his dignity and order to Gotham, Batman decides to take the mutant leader on in a heavily anticipated rematch, as we can see here.
You came to say hello, old man?
No, I came to say goodbye.
You so dead, old man.
Good boy. You know what to do with an open door. Now let's try a vent. It's your way out. Good boy. Forget to tell you about the drop. You'll be coming across a hole soon. Just about the right size for you. There. Just climb into the pipe. Remember, rats carry diseases. Don't eat any. Can you smell the river yet? See the end of the pipe? The only thing between you and it is me.
Face me, fool. I kill you. I show you who rule Gotham City.
Okay, boy. Show me.
You see, Dom, Batman, he nasty. Hope Rob don't say balls nasty. Balls nasty.
He's fast. Faster than I am. And stronger. And seemingly impervious to pain. But they do come smarter. And nobody's very fast on his thigh deep in mud. I wait for him to try a kick. Give him just the kind of cut above the eyes, the kind that bleeds. My mistake was to try to match his savagery, to fight like a young man. Right on schedule. The blood hits his eyes. I grab a clump of mud.
Leader's bogging. Leader Billy Berserk Spud. Leader Peg Batman, you see.
He charges blind. A quick one to the nerve cluster in his deltoid. It doesn't hurt him, but no force on earth could help him move his left arm now. He's right. It's fast. Too fast.
He dusted. He dusted. My mom bounced on ship, you see.
Blackness comes in from the edges. I get sick of the arm and kill it below the elbow. He spins at the perfect moment, goes for my throat. Have to take us down. You don't get it, boy. This isn't a mud hole. It's an operating table. And I'm the surgeon. Something tells me to stop with the leg. I don't listen to it.
The mutants are dead. The mutants are history. This is the mark of the future. Gotham City belongs to the Batman.
In this scene, Batman abandons his usual modus operandi and, excuse the pun, fights dirty by throwing mud in the leader's face, striking joints and eye gouging. Batman attacks the mutant leader with extreme force, breaking his bones with a range of devastating strikes and joint holds. In addition to this, Batman continues his assault even when the fight is won. Therefore, this comic does have the prolonged violence and brutal force. However, it is not as graphic as it could be, and the breaking bones are implied and heard, rather than clearly seen. The comic does leave it more to our imagination, which some argue is worse. However, in this instance, I do not think it is.
Number 2.
In second place, we have another Frank Miller edition with All-Star Batman and Robin, The Boy Wonder number 7. With its hyper-violent black comedy style, this comic explores the early days of the dynamic duo's collaboration. From the offset in Chapter 1, we witness a highly hyper-violent moment that again is very uncharacteristic of the Dark Knight. We join the action as Batman takes on a gang of criminals.
Striking terror.
Oh, Christ.
Best part of the job.
Him. Not him. We're screwed.
Once you scare the crap out of them, they scramble away like cockroaches. Gotham City's full of cockroaches. You don't know from screwed, you losers. They scramble away. That's unless you step on them. And step hard. I step hard. Hey, look at that. Bottles of bleach. These thieves will sell anything. And here I am with all this thermite. It'd be a damn shame to let it go to waste. They're shooting scared. They're shooting stupid. They're killing their own. Life is good. Let me take you to school, suckers. In chemistry. You don't know from hurt fever, you what? This is hurt. So is this, sweetheart. And so's this boy of mine.
He doesn't stop. He doesn't spare one of them. Not one. Before I can even catch my breath, they're a bunch of bleeding, burning heaps. They are. And God help me, here I am, thunderstruck in love with the man. The goddamn Batman.
Sleep tight, princess. And don't you go messing again with any Gotham City girls.
I won't. I swear.
Has anybody ever told you, my good man, that you are totally hot?
Not for the last few days. No.
Consider yourself told.
Her tongue's a little bit sandy. She's a smoker. Cigars. Cuban. I haven't kissed a smoker in weeks. Not since Selena.
We keep our masks on. It's better that way.
Need a ride home? In this rain, you'll freeze yourself to death on that Harley.
What? You've got a car? You're the goddamn Batman, and you need yourself a goddamn car?
In this bizarre scene of comedic violence, Batman seems to revel in schadenfreude as he enjoys the torment of his enemies. He relishes in their anguish as they take each other out with friendly fire, whilst he stands back and spouts one-liners like, "Let me take you to school in chemistry," before throwing a bottle of chemical fire at them. Batman continues his brutal assault as his antagonists aimlessly run around aflame. What makes matters worse is that Batman gets intimate with the Black Canary, whilst his enemies burn to death. This is clearly a violent Batman moment of extreme proportions. However, it is not quite my number one.
Number 1.
Finally, we arrive at what I think is Batman's most violent moment in a comic or graphic novel. Batman and the Joker are the fiercest of enemies, so I guess it is fitting that my number 1 should include a fight between them. Jeff Loeb's classic Part 7 The Joke punchline really puts the punch into punchline. In this violent moment, Batman arrives at the scene of a murder he thinks the Joker has committed. When Batman realizes the victim is his childhood friend, Dr. Thomas Elliot, he flies into a rage like no other, as we can witness here.
My head's on fire. But after seeing what Harley did to Selena, I have to. No. No! There was something about the opera, how they often ended in tragedy, that my father found appealing.
Now that's how you make an entrance.
The Joker.
Stop!
I have known him longer than any other criminal. He shot Barbara Gordon at point-blank range and left her to die. The fact that she's still alive does nothing to lessen the anguish he brought down on her. Deemed insane by the courts, he never went to jail for the crime. Despite all my efforts, I know very little about his origin, who he was before he became the monster he is today. He shot Lieutenant Sarah Essen, former police commissioner Jim Gordon's wife, and killed her. The Joker's life should have ended then and there. Dick Grayson, Nightwing. He explained to me once that the Joker and I are forever linked in constant battle, that in some sick way, the Joker exists because of me, how I represent the order that is necessary to live in Gotham City, and the Joker is the chaos that disrupts that order. The Joker beat a child named Jason Todd to death for nothing more than wanting to be the young hero, Robin, the boy wonder. He walked away from any responsibility for that crime by using some bizarre diplomatic immunity he had obtained. Only moments ago, the Joker took the life of a childhood friend, Dr. Thomas Elliot. Tommy returned to me as I lay dying. Without any hesitation, he used his skills as a surgeon. I am alive today, only because of him. Now Tommy is dead, and the Joker killed him. I think about what Nightwing said. My being responsible for the Joker as years' worth of rage courses through my fist. I cannot. I will not accept any responsibility for the Joker.
Batman?
Except that I should have killed him long ago.
You've heard this one before. Batman, I'm innocent. You see, I didn't kill this guy.
I can hear his confession, but it means nothing.
Sorry, Mr. J. He, stopped.
Harley Quinn. In some perverse way, she loves him. I will let no one, nothing,
Ouchie.
defend the Joker or his actions.
I'm not joking, Bat Boob. Check my gun. Nothing, but blanks.
It's just another lie. Another lie to keep himself alive. I think of Barbara, and snapping the Joker's neck becomes that much easier. Batgirl. She loved the job. Possibly even more than Dick did as Robin. And I indulged her. Maybe out of respect for her father. I understood her addiction to seeking out justice. To rid this city of evil that manifests itself here, even though she knew the risks. Still haunted by that single moment, she cannot give it up, even without the use of her legs. She's invaluable to me in her role as Oracle. And I tell myself that Barbara would understand what I have to do tonight.
No, I don't want to fight you.
Catwoman. Selena. Earlier tonight, Harley Quinn shot her. Her shoulder is still damp with blood.
I'll do what I have to keep you from doing something you'll regret.
How could I regret what should have been done a long time ago? How could she understand?
Don't! Damn it! I know what you're feeling, but if our roles were reversed, you would do everything in your power to stop me.
She wasn't there when I found Jason. Jason never had the skills that Dick had. I should never have let him put on the costume. No matter what differences we've had through the years, I've always known that Dick had a gift. Jason only had rage. And I thought, hoped, that if I could channel that rage into something more producive. For these reasons, I've carried the burden of responsibility for Jason's death when it is the Joker's fault. His price to pay. Whatever feelings I may have for you, Selena, I cannot let you stop me. Her bullet wound makes her vulnerable, and I exploit it. And I tell myself, she will understand someday. Selena, don't you see that our relationship only allows for the possibility that one night it will be you that I find killed by the Joker? I cannot, will not allow that nightmare to become a reality. He dies tonight by my hand.
Help! Wild man! Madman! Batty man!
There will be no escape.
No! No! No!
There is nothing I can do to him that would cause him the agony that he has brought upon others. But I can come close.
Stand up and put your hands in the air.
I could crush his windpipe and sever all oxygen from his brain. I could push his ribs right through his lungs and rupture his heart.
The next shot, I will drop you. You have to think about what you are doing. Who and what made you who you are. Your role models. The beliefs they instilled in you. And think of how the Joker could never understand that. It's what makes him who he is. Think.
I could pound his skull into the pavement until it fractured into so many pieces his brain would spill out.
God, help me. You have thought this through.
It is what should have been done a long time ago.
I may no longer carry a badge, but I still believe the policeman's oath to protect and to serve. All I can do is appeal to you through our friendship. I wouldn't let you do this when he shot my daughter, killed my wife. I don't know how I could stop you, but I won't let you throw your life away.
Jim Gordon. With all he's lost, I thought he'd understand.
Jim, you and I have seen more than our fair share of tragedies and thirsted for revenge. If Batman wanted to be a killer, he could have started long ago. But it's a line. On one side we believe in the law, and on the other, sometimes the law fails us. Maybe that's why I've understood you, allowed you to help protect this city. Batman, if you cross that line, if you kill the Joker tonight, I will lead the hunt to bring you to justice. In the eyes of the law, in my eyes, you'll be no different from him.
How many more lives are we gonna let him ruin?
I don't care. I won't let him ruin yours.
I'm innocent.
The sight of the Joker holding a gun whilst crouched over his deceased friend launches Batman into a blind fury as he decides to abandon his morality and kill the Joker. Therefore the intent is there. Batman wants to kill the Joker. What exacerbates the situation is that Batman has visions of all his loved ones who the Joker has killed or hurt. Batman is so enraged that he can either no longer hear or simply ignores the Joker's pleas for him to stop his attack. His fury intensifies along with the violence as the scene progresses. In this moment of pure rage, Batman is rendered temporarily insane as he pummels and strangles the Joker to within an inch of his life. Nothing is left to the imagination through Jim Lee's artwork as we witness the violence in full graphic detail as Batman smashes the Joker's teeth and beats him to a bloody pulp. In fact, the beating is so severe that others are forced to intervene to no avail, be it friend or foe. Anyone trying to intervene is met with more violence at the hands of the Dark Knight. What makes the violence worse for me, however, is that he attacks women, which is a personal threshold of mine. I have always struggled to watch violence involving women or children, so I guess this scene crosses that boundary of mine. Towards the end of the vicious assault, Batman has fallen into a trance, fantasizing how to torture the Joker, and fails to hear or feel the gunshots that skim him. It is not until longtime friend and ally Jim Gordon manages to talk some sense into the Dark Knight that he ends his attack. Therefore this comic has the extreme force, graphic depiction, and with over 20 pages dedicated to this attack, it has the prolonged and sustained violence that is necessary to be my number one most violent Batman moment. Perhaps you would like to share with me what your number one most violent Batman comic book moment is. Was it on my list, or was it an entirely different moment? But until another more violent moment is written, this will remain as my number one.